Puma Punku. Spread across a desert plateau at an altitude over 12,000 feet, the megalithic stones found here are among the largest on the planet, measuring up to 26 feet long and weighing more than 100 tons each.
High in the Andes, an ancient site is rewriting what we know about prehistoric engineering. At 12,800 feet above sea level, Puma Punku features stone blocks carved with precision so exact that even modern tools struggle to replicate them. How did people centuries ago shape granite-hard stone so flawlessly?
One of the amazing things here at Puma Punku is the precision of the blocks. You can see with this block of granite that it's really been cut at very accurate right angles.
The site's H-shaped blocks don't just sit together, they interlock with mechanical accuracy rarely seen in ancient ruins. Recent 3D scans revealed interior joints so perfect, they raise a bigger question. Was this truly the work of human hands alone? Or is there something we still don't understand? The unexplainable precision. Puma Punku's stone blocks are unlike anything else found in ancient South America. These massive stones, carved primarily from andesite, bear edges and surfaces so precisely cut that the craftsmanship defies traditional explanations. Their shapes include complex interior grooves and joints that fit together with astonishing alignment. After more than a century of study, archaeologists and engineers alike remain puzzled over how these blocks were crafted with such meticulous detail. One of the most striking features is the H-shaped blocks, named for their rough resemblance to the letter H when seen from above. Each block contains intricate channels, grooves, and angles designed to interlock perfectly with neighboring stones. Measurements show that the corners and grooves maintain angles within fractions of a degree, and surfaces are uniformly flat across several feet. This level of precision is more commonly associated with modern industrial manufacturing than ancient quarrying. Despite their clear intent to fit together without mortar, the blocks do not all align cleanly. Some pieces mismatch or vary slightly in size, which has prevented a full reconstruction of the original structure. This inconsistency fuels ongoing debate about whether the site was ever finished or if some pieces are missing. For over 120 years, the accepted explanation credits the Tiwanaku civilization with quarrying, transporting, and shaping these blocks using copper tools, stone hammers, and abrasive sand. Yet this explanation struggles to match the physical evidence. The precision, flatness, and complexity of the joints exceed what hand tools and primitive methods should be able to produce. This fundamental challenge has left experts searching for answers that fit both the archaeological record and the stonework itself. The situation becomes more complicated because a system that resembles modular construction has been used to create blocks that function as standardized components manufactured through assembly line techniques. The repeatability of angles and grooves across multiple blocks points to a methodical approach rather than artisanal crafting. The Andes witnessed no Bronze Age civilization, which developed industrial processes that could explain this pattern of consistency. The origins of this precision remain elusive. The interior features of some blocks exhibit such precise measurements that modern engineers have compared them to high-precision machine components. The grooves maintain consistent depths and widths, which extend to an accuracy of 1 millimeter, while the flat planes display an engineering flatness that modern equipment can achieve. Mainstream archaeology paid little attention to these observations for several decades because more traditional interpretations received greater focus. The mystery deepens when considering the lack of tool marks expected from such stonework. The blocks at Puma Punku appear to have been created through mechanical processes because hands-on carving with copper chisels or stone hammers produces visible irregularities and chipping. The site lacks evidence for traditional tool use, which challenges the established belief that Tiwanaku used their known technologies to construct the site. The H-blocks at Puma Punku demonstrate a precise level that remains unsolved because it needs further research. The system indicates an advanced level of ability that remains beyond our present understanding. New technological advancements and later findings will provide additional information about the case, but the inquiry continues to exist about the methods used to create these stones with such extreme accuracy during ancient times. The craftsmanship and societal strength of the Tiwanaku civilization form a crucial backdrop to this mystery, shedding light on who is credited with these feats and why doubts persist. The Tiwanaku civilization. The Tiwanaku people inhabited the high Andes near Lake Titicaca from around 300 to 1000 AD, emerging as one of the most advanced pre-Columbian civilizations in South America. Their capital, also named Tiwanaku, was a sprawling urban center housing tens of thousands, complete with sophisticated agriculture and monumental architecture. This society thrived in an environment few others could manage, farming elevated terraces and mastering the challenging mountain climate. Archaeological evidence confirms that the Tiwanaku developed impressive infrastructure, including irrigation systems, roads, and ceremonial complexes. Their influence stretched across the Andean region, covering parts of modern Bolivia, Peru, Chile, and Argentina. Trade networks flourished alongside distinctive cultural expressions like ceramics and monolithic statues. Such achievements highlight a complex and organized society capable of significant engineering. Despite this, Puma Punku stands apart from other Tiwanaku constructions in important ways. While the broader site showcases architectural feats within reach of Bronze Age technology, the stone blocks at Puma Punku raise questions about the limits of their skills. The level of precision and technological detail does not appear elsewhere in their known monuments, making Puma Punku an outlier. The Tiwanaku civilization may have inherited certain elements from Puma Punku, while they did not create everything at the site. If this theory is true, then an earlier civilization must have created the blocks, which later vanished from existence, or their knowledge base became assimilated into other cultures. The hypothesis receives partial validation through the site investigation, which shows two distinct efficiency levels because one section displays outstanding accuracy, while other parts maintain standard building methods from that historical time. The Tiwanaku civilization used copper tools and stone hammers for their work. The tools used by the Tiwanaku civilization at Puma Punku do not provide sufficient evidence to account for the precise measurements and level surfaces found at the site. The work needed to transport and shape enormous stone blocks at high-altitude locations proves that people believed their workforce could handle such tasks. Tiwanaku experts believe that the Tiwanaku civilization operated as a state-level system that achieved exceptional accomplishments. The best-preserved blocks from the site do not support industrial-scale precision manufacturing operations. The process of understanding their sophisticated abilities, together with the outstanding craftsmanship of the Puma Punku building, remains one of their most important challenges. The investigation of Tiwanaku civilization leads to vital background information that remains crucial for understanding, but fails to address the main enigma. Researchers need to explain how Puma Punku produced such exceptional stonework, which exists within the same historic period and cultural setting. The properties of the materials themselves add another layer of complexity, pushing the boundary of what was physically possible at the site. Material challenges and tool limits. The stone blocks at Puma Punku are cut from andesite and red sandstone, both known for their exceptional hardness and durability. Andesite, a volcanic rock, rates between 6 and 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, making it significantly tougher than copper tools that measure around 3. For comparison, steel files are about 6.5, so basic Bronze Age implements would struggle to damage or shape andesite effectively. This hardness is part of the enigma. While diorite hammerstones, another hard rock closely related to granite, have been suggested as tools for shaping the blocks, their use generally produces rough, uneven surfaces. The Puma Punku stones instead show smooth, flat planes and sharply cut grooves uncharacteristic of this pounding technique. In other ancient sites, such as the granite quarries at Aswan in Egypt, diorite pounding has been well documented. There, unfinished obelisks reveal rough surfaces scarred by repeated hammer strikes, evidence that such tools only removed large amounts of material, but required extensive additional finishing. No such traces are visible at Puma Punku. Fine finishing techniques involving grinding, polishing, and abrasive sanding are well known from civilizations like the Egyptians. They could produce mirror-like finishes on granite, but these efforts often required decades of meticulous labor reserved for sacred objects or royal tombs. Applying that painstaking process across hundreds of massive blocks at Puma Punku seems impractical. The degree of flatness and the sharp tolerance of angles on Puma Punku's H-blocks are far beyond what would result from slow manual labor with such primitive tools. The grooves maintain an even depth, with parallel walls and flat bases, features easily achieved by machine tools but rarely by hand. It's also worth noting the extreme altitude where this work took place. At 12,800 feet, the air is thin, containing roughly 40% less oxygen than at sea level. Physical labor becomes far more exhausting, slowing progress and reducing efficiency. Replicating the Puma Punku stonework here would have taxed even a well-organized workforce. Even if we accept extraordinary patience and manpower, the exactness of the stonecraft stands out. There are no signs of chisel marks or irregularities. Instead, the stones have a mechanical quality. This contradiction pushes researchers to reassess the limits of Bronze Age technology in the Andes. Understanding these material and tool challenges sets the stage for the revolutionary measurements revealed by the recent 3D scanning, which quantified this precision more clearly than ever before. The exactness of the work demanded new ways of measurement, and it was this leap in technology that finally opened a door into the ancient mystery. The 3D scanning breakthrough. In late 2024, a fresh approach brought new clarity to the mystery of Puma Punku. A team from a European Geoarchaeology Institute introduced a structured light 3D scanner to the site, equipment never before used there. This technology measures surface irregularities with staggering precision, down to 10,000ths of a millimeter. To put that in perspective, it's more exacting than the tolerances required for modern aircraft engines. The scanner projected intricate patterns of light onto the H-shaped blocks and recorded how these patterns deformed over their surfaces. This data allowed researchers to build incredibly detailed digital maps of the block's geometry. The measurements were unlike anything previous manual tools could capture, revealing flatness and angular consistency to levels previously unseen in ancient stonework. It was as if Puma Punku's blocks were engineered on an industrial scale. What the scans confirmed stunned both skeptics and proponents alike. Surfaces were flat to within 0.05 of a millimeter across multiple feet. This is not visually flat, but meets engineering standards akin to precision ground machine parts. The internal corners where the blocks interlock deviated less than 1/10 of a degree from perfect 90-degree angles. These are the kinds of precise specifications modern machinists rely on. The blocks exhibited exceptional uniformity through their carved grooves, which ran through the entire surface area. The walls maintained their depth, which extended to 1/10 of a millimeter throughout their whole length, while the walls remained straight and the floor stayed level. The precise measurements of the object indicate that advanced templates or tools were utilized instead of standard hand chisels. The data showed fine craftsmanship, which supported previous impressions but brought the discussion to a point where regular archaeological methods and explanations became inadequate. The researchers paid careful attention to their findings' presentation. They documented the anomalies without presuming to solve the mystery. The scans confirmed that the stoneworkers achieved high precision, but they failed to reveal the methods used by the stoneworkers. The research showed that either unidentified technology existed at Puma Punku or the current historical timeline, and builders' identification needed to be revised. Measurements that defy normal standards now serve as a basis for investigations that scientists from the archaeology and engineering fields will conduct. The evidence showed that ancient people operated with industrial production standards beyond the existing copper tool and ramp hauling methods. The Puma Punku site became more than a confusing ruin because it presented a fundamental mystery that required fresh perspectives about ancient pre-Columbian cultures. The scan results produced revolutionary outcomes for research, while they raised additional questions. How was this precision achieved with the limited technology presumed available? The builders at this site used the Tiwanaku identity and the identity of unknown predecessors, which makes their identity impossible to determine. The site investigation required scientists to examine its mysterious layout, together with its embedded puzzling features. The scattered and mismatched state of the blocks at Puma Punku adds yet another layer to this unfolding story, suggesting that the site's secrets might lie not only in how the stones were made, but also in why they were left incomplete. The puzzle of incomplete assembly. Puma Punku today is far from a cohesive structure. The massive blocks lie scattered across the plateau, many cut with the same precision, yet refusing to fit together perfectly. Some blocks interlock as intended, while others differ slightly in dimensions, making a full architectural reconstruction impossible so far. This disarray has long puzzled scholars and fueled theories about the site's purpose and state of completion. One explanation is that Puma Punku was never finished. Blocks may have been quarried, shaped, and hauled to the site, but abandoned before being fully assembled into a coherent building. This would explain the variations and mismatches between pieces, as if the construction process was interrupted or left incomplete. The site's appearance resembles a complex workshop or supply depot rather than an active, functional complex. Another possibility is that the Tiwanaku encountered blocks left behind by an earlier civilization. If true, the Tiwanaku might have attempted to use or understand these pre-existing components without fully grasping the original design. Such a theory challenges prevailing timelines by implying a sophisticated predecessor culture that mainstream archaeology has yet to recognize. Any such unknown civilization would have had to overcome the same difficult environment, working at an altitude of 12,800 feet, where oxygen is scarce. Physically moving and manipulating stones weighing over 100 tons in this terrain demands enormous human effort or technology unknown. The logistical challenges alone border on the extraordinary. Local histories and some archaeological interpretations suggest a gradual decline rather than a sudden collapse of the Tiwanaku. There is no record of invasion or disaster that would explain a sudden abandonment, adding complexity to the mystery. If the blocks were simply left unfinished, why was the site intended for something else entirely? Or were the builders forced to stop for reasons lost to time? Attempts by international teams to digitally or physically reconstruct Puma Punku using the surviving stones have failed repeatedly. Computer models produce shapes unfamiliar to conventional architectural forms. Significant parts of the original puzzle appear lost, a gap that obscures the site's true purpose and design. The precision alone makes the mystery irresistible. Why produce hundreds of components with industrial-level standards, only to leave them scattered? Whatever the answer, the site challenges assumptions about construction, completion, and cultural continuity in ancient South America. Puma Punku may represent not the end, but a breakpoint in the story, a silent legacy waiting to be fully understood. As the pieces remain dispersed on the windswept plateau, so too does the question of who created this marvel and what they truly achieved. The story of Puma Punku is far from closed. It is an unfinished journey through history itself. Implications for pre-Columbian history. The precision uncovered at Puma Punku forces us to rethink what we believe about pre-Columbian civilizations in South America. For decades, the mainstream timeline placed the rise of complex societies like the Tiwanaku within a narrow window between roughly 300 and 1000 AD. Earlier periods were understood as dominated by hunter-gatherers or simple farming communities, far from capable of the engineering feats Puma Punku presents. But recent discoveries challenge this framework. Archaeological finds at sites such as Monteverde in Chile indicate human presence in South America as much as 18,500 years ago, long before previously accepted dates. Even footprints at White Sands, New Mexico, dated to over 21,000 years ago, suggest early migration and settlement patterns that push back the timeline of human complexity in the Americas. If humans arrived earlier, it opens the possibility that sophisticated cultures developed gradually and independently, creating achievements heretofore unrecognized. Puma Punku's unmatched stonework could represent the vestiges of such an advanced, perhaps lost, chapter. It invites us to consider that knowledge and technology might have existed long before the Tiwanaku, passed down or abandoned in ways archaeology has yet to fully understand. The proposed idea disrupts current archaeological beliefs, while it offers researchers a fresh perspective, which helps them understand the site's unexplained findings. Although Arthur Poznański's disputed estimates, which date Puma Punku to 15,000 BCE, have been dismissed by experts, they contain some valid information about earlier construction methods that existed before the construction of the later Tiwanaku structures. The precise stonework might have belonged to an ancient civilization that existed before the time of this culture. The absence of concrete proof showing that a previous civilization existed before this civilization prevents researchers from making any definite conclusions about their relationship. The dating of organic material through radiocarbon methods consistently establishes construction work as occurring during the Tiwanaku era. The stones display artistic craftsmanship that exceeds the technological abilities that researchers have assigned to this specific cultural group. Puma Punku demonstrates how humans can survive and demonstrate their ability to build things while facing hostile circumstances. Working at 12,800 feet presented extreme difficulties because of the low oxygen levels and the difficult terrain conditions, which made it hard for all the people in that society. The process of moving multi-ton stones while maintaining absolute accuracy demanded a combination of specialized expertise and a dedicated workforce, including equipment and methods that have been lost throughout history. Puma Punku changes our understanding of how Andean societies progressed toward the development of civilization. The study suggests that past human abilities reached levels that people currently believe to be impossible. Puma Punku's incredible precision challenges everything known about ancient South American civilizations, raising questions about lost knowledge and forgotten builders. Its mysteries push us to rethink history and human potential. If you enjoyed exploring this enigma, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest archaeological mysteries. And don't miss the next video waiting for you on screen, because it uncovers another mystery that might change how you see the past.